Okay, once again, warm welcome to everyone and good evening. Om Shanti. And to all our online viewers who are watching us on YouTube, Facebook, and webcast, a warm welcome to you too. And today evening, we have a special speaker with us, Sister Sharona, who is currently based in Israel. And she's the coordinator of Brahma Kumaris activities happening in Israel. And she's actually born and brought up in US. And she's been a Raja Yogi for more than 38 years. She's practicing meditation over a long period of time. And she holds an MA in adult education as well. So today she's with us. I would request her to come on stage and share her wisdom on the topic that we have tonight, that is rise above little things, you know, the small little things that bother us much. And how is it possible that we rise above it? So we have Sister Sharona with us. Welcome, Sister. Over to you.
So, Om Shanti. Yes, very warm welcome to all the social media participants, but I must say it is a very special treat to have some real live people in front of me too, because over the corona, that's just not been the case. And it's a very lovely thing to be able to connect soul to soul instead of soul to screen. Although all my screen friends, anyway, we will still connect, I'm sure. This topic it surprised me, I must say, when I first heard about it. Did it surprise you? Rising above the little things. Anybody surprised by that? I was surprised because we are in front of such big things at this point in time. And yet this subject is rising above the little things. But actually, when you think about it, it makes a lot of sense. Because the same things that keep us from rising in front of the big things are the same things that keep us from rising above the little things. And it does make sense to start with the little things, doesn't it? Because then we'll see how doable it is. It is so doable. Are you ready to rise above small and big things? You ready? Do you believe you can do it? Because what happens to us if we don't learn this art of rising above? We lose our enthusiasm for life. It starts getting hard to get out of bed in the morning, start our day. It's like our energy gets depleted because we're overwhelmed by little things. What kind of little things are overwhelming us these days? Is it just the children leave the cups in the sink, they don't wash them? And it's so irritating. Especially if it's not the children, but it's the husband or the wife. People who are lying to us. People who are trying to judge us, or are judging us, or trying to control us. People we feel don't understand us. Are these still little things? Or have we crossed into the bigger things? So, we start stepping back from life if we're not training ourselves to rise above. We step back. Have you noticed this? We just don't feel like being with people so much. Too many little things, they add up. And before we know it, we have a big hole draining our life force, our energy. We start reacting. No more patience. Not accepting. We ourselves start judging, criticizing, commenting, correcting, or just fall into depression. Kind of hopelessness. Yeah? Are we all on the same page about the subject we're going to look at tonight? Yeah. So, what to do? What to do? I think three things which have helped me to rise above the small things. And they're the same things helping me to rise above the big things too. Three things. But before I share them with you, should we do a little meditation activity? Not exactly a meditation, but like a pre-meditation activity. Okay? So with this pre-meditation activity, you can close your eyes or keep them open, whatever is more comfortable for you. But I need you to imagine a stream somewhere out in the countryside, small stream. Can you do that? Small stream. And now, just take that imagining one step further and imagine your mind as a stream. Very honestly. What is the quality of the stream of your mind? Is the stream of your mind very clear and clean? You can see straight down to the bottom. You're just imagining your mind as a stream. Are the waters in the stream of your mind gentle, moving along calmly? Or are they rushing about, crashing the banks, jumping the borders? Very honestly, looking at your everyday stream of mind. What about the fragrance? Does the stream of your mind have a very lovely, fresh fragrance to it? Or is it stale smelling, old? Being very honest and just objective. Does it move along? Or is it stuck in some places and turning round and round on its own self? Very honest appraisal of your everyday mind. Thank you. Little activity. How did you do? First of all, could you imagine your mind as a stream? Oh, that's good. No, some people can't. It's not a mind that creates imagery easily. That's okay. How is your stream? Honestly speaking. Fresh, moving along, or stuck? Clear, you could see straight to the bottom, or a little muddy? How was it? Yeah? A lot of people share so many different images. How is your stream? Okay, so she was saying she could see the stream, but then it was clear. She could see straight to the bottom, but then the whole thing vanished. Concentration power was lost. Anyone else? It kept running, but it didn't really have an end, she is saying. Yeah. Okay. Anyone else?
One was, the emerging stream was kind of flowing this clear water, not too fast, but it was flowing.
Okay. It was flowing, not too fast, but it was flowing. A lot of people share these kind of experiences and also acknowledge some of these other things. Like in some places it was very clean, other places it was a little cloudy or muddy. Some places it was flowing, some places it was stuck. People describe all sorts of aspects to the stream of their mind. Thank you for your efforts at imagining this. Now, second question. Where were you in that little activity? Were you in the water? No? You were? You were observing the water. Yeah? You were on the side, observing the water. Third question, what does that teach us?
For me, personally, is because we live in such a modern society nowadays, there's a lot of things happening. People always observe first. If you see it with your eyes, you have facts to go on. Oh, sorry. You have facts to go on and everything. So for me, when I was imagining the clear water going, it was just, I could see it's very clear, but discoloration, where it's leading to and where it's going before I assume anything. So this is just personally for me. So, and I was calm and just in observing.
Observing. Was anybody in the water? No. What does this mean? Anybody else? This observer status is valid and meaningful. Anyone else? You didn't know you'd have to work tonight, huh? You thought you could just lean back and have a nice lecture.
I don't know, in terms of either observing, if you're kind of able to create this image with the stream being your mind, either observing what's going on in your mind as opposed to being in control of what's being in your mind by being in the water, perhaps. I don't know.
Okay, that's also a possibility. I will share the meaning it has for me at this point, after 40 years of meditating. What this tells us, very naturally, is that I am not my mind. I am not my thoughts. I am the one observing the thoughts. I am the one creating thoughts, but I'm not my thoughts. This is something very nice to know and to use as a way of starting a meditation, because many times we cannot control this mind. It pulls us again and again into our stories when actually we want to take a break. Meditation means we're just taking a break. So now you have proved to yourselves that you are separate from the mind. You're separate from your thoughts. They are your creation, but you are separate. Meaning, you don't have to stand there. You're free. You can move to other parts of yourself, because there are other parts to the self besides the mind. And this is actually one of the things that I have seen is a very good tool for rising above little things. Because little things get us first and foremost because we are not able to separate ourselves from this mind. Something we see, something we hear, something we touch, and the mind has 1,000 thoughts, and we drown in that. Drowning in that means whatever pattern is inside gets triggered. If I'm not aware and I'm not practiced in this first and foremost tool and truth, I'm not my thoughts, they're my creation, I am separate. So, this can help us with the whole thing of overthinking, which is one of the issues that do not allow us to rise above. Rising above means higher consciousness, right? And this would be a second tool, I feel, that can help us rise above. Larger picture. We need to work with a larger picture. The classical story is, in case you haven't heard this one, a man is coming on the train. He's on the train with his 2 kids. It's about 9:30 at night, and the 2 kids are running wild in the train, subway system. They're in the train, running wild, bothering all the other passengers. And finally, one woman sitting near this man gets irritated. And she says to him, "Sir, look at your children. Please, can you not control them a little bit?" And as the story goes, the man apologizes and explains that they are just coming back from the hospital. Their mother, his wife, is critically ill, cancer, dying, and he hadn't been aware. He just wasn't realizing that the children were all over the place. So he apologized. What happened? In 1 second, this woman's attitude changed. In 1 second, her feelings, her emotions changed. She went from irritated and angry to sympathetic, compassionate, accepting, allowing. These are changes which we usually work very hard on to get ourselves out of that irritation because somebody's lying to me, or that anger, or that depression. These are very big shifts generally. But she got the larger picture. That's all. She got the larger picture, and instantly things changed. So what I'm talking about here when I'm giving a second tool for rising above, is this necessity of working from a larger picture. And the largest picture of all we can work with is something I was just touching on in the first tool. The largest picture of myself is that there's more in there besides the mind. Already we proved that to ourselves. The mind is there, but then there's also an observer of the mind. That part of you which was watching your thoughts and conceivably judging them. But there's much, much more. As much as inside you there's this whole room of programmings, conditionings, which could be negative, which could be detrimental to the well-being of your relationships and your own well-being. As much as you could know yourself as a timid person, or a depressed person, or a bossy person, as much as you would know yourself that way, what I'm saying is the larger picture teaches us that there's another room in there. And that room is filled with all the qualities you want from others and you like to give to others. Why do we like to be generous? Why do we like to be forgiving? Why do we like to be good? Because actually that, if we work with the larger picture, is how we have been made, and that's who we really are. You following me so far? This is a second tool for rising above. In other words, let them leave the cups in the sink. Let this person lie to me. I have a choice. I don't just have my gut reaction, which is one room, programmings, conditionings, with all the negative possibilities. There is another room. That room is made of a completely different energy, particularly because it's not connected to my physical senses. That first room means programmings and conditionings triggered by whatever I see or hear, touch. But that other room, in what I'll call the palace of the self, is not connected to the senses. It's an energy which is just divine, peaceful, happy, loving. And all the ways these things break down, like happiness breaks down into lightness, easiness, carefree. Love breaks down into respect, generosity, giving, forgiving. In the palace of the self, we will meet this part of ourselves. And this is actually called meditation. To be able to go away from the mind, remembering that I'm not my thoughts, and head ourselves towards this other part of the self, which carries everything I need for a higher consciousness. The real energy, you know what I'm saying here actually, is that love is an energy, joy is an energy, peace is an energy, and I'm made from that energy. And it doesn't matter how long it's been since I could feel that inside me, that's what I'm made of. But I have to start some kind of practice that can separate me from those thoughts and turn me towards that other part of me. Yeah? So we have two tools right now to rise above the little things. First of all, we have a larger picture of our own selves. In other words, I can respond instead of react. And I'm not talking about performance, which is what we've been working with for a long time, possibly. Do you know what I mean by performance? It means they left the mugs in the kitchen sink, and I am angry, or this colleague is lying to me, and I am very disappointed, but I pretend to be patient. I pretend to have faith. I pretend to trust. This will not allow us to rise above little things. This is a very illusionary rising, you could say. It might work from time to time, but the energy of reaction, that irritation or that disappointment, will continue to accumulate inside until, as we were saying before, one day there's an explosion. Or slowly, slowly, I start mistrusting everybody or withdrawing from people, and I don't even want to really get out of bed in the morning. So one tool, that larger picture. I don't want that disappointment in my life. I don't want that kind of irritation in my life, but now I'm remembering I don't need it. There's another part of me flowing with an energy of peace, an energy of acceptance, an energy of objectivity, which enables me to be wise. Because sometimes you have to say something to someone. Sometimes it takes courage, assertiveness. All these energies are in that other room. Do you know that you can be assertive and courageous without being aggressive? And it works better. Any mother would know this. So, first tool, a larger picture. Second tool, how we'll use that larger picture to start handling a mind which is overactive and overthinking. The larger picture reminds me I'm not my thoughts. I can step back. I can go spend time in another part of myself. And slowly, this gives us a lot of influence over what I create for my attitude or my feeling. Two tools. Third tool. Before we look at the third tool, does anybody want to say anything? Ask anything? You with me? Yeah.
So having that detached view of what's really going on, I guess it comes with practice.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the difficult thing, I think, like for an example, when we did the activity about the stream, what I struggled is to separate myself from the stream.
Did you find yourself in the stream?
No, I felt like my mind is the stream.
Yeah, that's what we did. We said the mind is the stream. And this is the thing. If you review that activity, naturally, you can prove to yourself that you are separate from the mind because you were not in the water. This we need to go back to again and again. This is the first step in claiming yourself versus being controlled and run by your thought patterns. It's as simple as this. Just do that exercise and enjoy the fact that you're not in the water. Enjoy this fact. It's a truth. And as I was saying, it's the larger picture of me. Sometimes we're so trapped in the mind, we think, this is who I am. It's who I am to be irritated or depressed or disappointed. It's not. But that first step is, let me remember and let me underline this awareness. My mind is not me. Sorry? We are not our thoughts. This is something to experiment with. My thoughts are my creation. And once we practice enjoying this particular truth, and it really comes back to us that yes, the thoughts are the children, I'm the mother, the father. It's easier to remember that I have a choice. I don't have to think like this. Now here's where the risk comes, the risk of performing. Because we all know, we've all been raised to be good. So we all know, I shouldn't act like this, I shouldn't be irritated, I should be kind, or I should give borders and boundaries without aggressiveness. And then we do that, but we're still in that energy. I am irritated or disappointed. This is not the path of spirituality. The path of spirituality says, here's the thoughts, and then here am I, this beautiful truth, separate. And I have another me that I can sit with. And to go there, and to be in those energies of my calm, and my giving nature, and my powerful nature. And with those energies, come back into the relationship, the situation, whatever, having made a choice. I'm going to say nothing now. Perhaps that might be my choice. I'm just going to remain peaceful when I come home and see those mugs in the kitchen sink, or when she's lying to me. In my wise self, my clean self, my uncomplicated, simple, original, divine self. So many options open to me, including tonight I will set a boundary. I will set a border, for example. We take charge. We take charge. We are very powerful. We are so powerful. We are children of God. This is where it starts. When I'm able to connect with that other me. Do you believe? It's a palace of the self. And somehow we've ended up kind of setting up hearth and home in the bathroom. You understand what I'm saying? Where all the garbage is, all the waste is. It's like we're living there instead of living in this very beautiful self, which is truly godlike. Do you believe it? That you have this whole other part of you? Do you believe it? This is something to explore. And this is what we do in meditation. We get to know this part of ourself. And just by spending time with this part of the self, she gets stronger. He gets stronger. There's a fable. I don't know if you're aware of it. A Cherokee Indian father was talking to his son, saying, you know, there is a devil and an angel inside me, and they're fighting. And the little boy said, really? Which one wins? Which one will win? And the father said, the one I feed. While we have forgotten the larger picture of the self, and we spend time not just near that stream of the mind, but as if drowning in it, splashed all over by it, colored, influenced, lost to it, then it's like we're feeding the worst in ourselves. And it's very strong by now. In fact, you know, we don't even call what we do here in the Brahma Kumaris meditation. We don't call it meditation. Do you know what we call it? Reflection. It's even better than that. We call it remembrance. We don't meditate here, we remember. We remember this other beautiful part of the self. And in that remembering, in that separating from the stream, in getting ourselves there, enjoying ourselves there, connecting to those feelings. Imagine, feelings of peace, feelings of happiness, and you've done nothing. You've not put yourself in front of a calming picture. You've not put yourself in front of calming music. From inside you, it's coming. That's the option when we start working with the larger picture of the self. Takes a little practice, but this is what will definitely allow us to rise and bring a higher consciousness to whatever's going on. Higher consciousness is a reality, it's a truth, and it's a resource for us. This is what's going on in the world right now. Everything is more difficult and everything is getting harder because we're running out of energy. This is happening on a gross and physical level as well as on the mental, emotional, and spiritual level. It's like we're using up energy. This part of the self that I'm talking about is so charged with clean, fresh energy, straight from God, straight from the divine. So we have to prove that to ourselves and give ourselves a chance. Third tool. This is connected to a larger picture, but it's good to know. It'll give good motivation for rising above and not allowing this to continue. Meaning how small things just are bleeding us, getting us down, and that down is accumulating and making it so hard to deal with life. So, extra motivation. You with me? Following me? Ready? There are laws operating in the universe. There are laws operating in the universe. Whether I like them or not, they're operating. So, for example, you have the law of cause and effect, Newton's law, which translates into the human sphere of energy with expressions, folkloric expressions like everything that goes around, comes around. as you sow, so you shall reap. Basically, this is a law which is saying nothing happens by accident. Nothing happens by accident. Everything that's happening is an event, is a flower or a weed which was planted by me. The law of karma, basically. This is the larger picture, right? First we looked at the larger picture of me, a player in the drama of life, but now we're looking at the larger picture of life. Nothing happens by accident. And yet, together with the larger picture, we're seeing that there's another kind of energy, you could call it, to work with this law, so that the law works in my favor instead of against me. Because, you know, a lot of times people think, why did this happen? Such a good person and this happened. Or why did that happen to me? I'm a good person and what's this all about? So we need to understand this law. And the power which helps us understand it and work with it, I would also call a kind of wealth. We have a spiritual wealth. Wealth of not money, not possessions, but wealth of character. Connecting to the second tool, that whole other part of me is a bank account of that wealth. To respond with patience, to respond with understanding or assertiveness or establishing borders and boundaries, courage. This is all a wealth of character. And if I can respond to the things going on around me, the empty, dirty mugs in the sink or the person who's lying to me, using this wealth, I pay karmic debts instead of going deeper into debt. This law is not to make me suffer. It's in order to give me every opportunity possible to work with the larger picture of myself and start drawing from my immense wealth of character, which is there. You follow me? So she leaves the mugs in the sink and I get irritated. Or he lies to me and I'm very disappointed. First tool, larger picture of myself. I'm not my mind. I'm not my thoughts. I am separate. Second tool, separate means I'm free. I don't have to stand here and be splashed by my programmings and conditionings. I can go spend time in another energy. Objective, separate, free. I can think, what do I need to do to remedy this? And I come back into the situation with the choice, clarity of the choice. I understand. That person leaving those mugs is not the universe out to get me after a hard day when I've had so much stress and irritation and now I have to deal with this. And that person lying to me is not the universe wanting to make my life difficult. Both situations are there to give me a chance to rehearse, practice, use my wealth of character. That's it. If I don't go into performance, but I actually take the time to go into that place of my purest self and charge myself with a bit of that peace, a bit of my generosity, a bit of my courage, a bit of my assertiveness. When I come back into that situation and I respond, working from those energies, I can promise you, those words carry a lot of power. And usually, I would say 99% of the time, there's so much power in that response. When I tell the children, I create a boundary, and I say there won't be any more dirty mugs left in the sink for mother to clean. Or I sit and have a talk with this fellow. Put it on the table, clean and simple. Why are you lying to me? With no agenda other than the pure intention of sustaining the relationship. I promise you, things will change. It might take time, but that's the power of truth. The power of simplicity, cleanliness inside. And even if they don't change, I change. Instead of being disappointed, I make some choices, I make some decisions. Like, for example, maybe it's time to end the friendship. Maybe I would do better by having different company for myself. I change. And instead of the victim, I take charge. I take charge. While we don't know about the law of karma, which is telling me everything that's happening, even all the negative things that are happening, is just a chance for me to connect to the larger picture me. Draw from the wealth of character, which is me, and make it strong. Feed the angel inside. Nurture, practice, strengthen, exercise my wealth of character. If we don't understand that, we just end up in a life of victim and blaming and letting everybody, you know, it's like we give them the remote control on my life. Yes, I'm going to put those mugs in the sink and you're going to be so irritated. And yes, I get irritated. No. A good spiritual practice means I can turn everything around. If the situation doesn't change, if the person doesn't change, at least my response changes. And I move forward. With their permission or without. This is who we are. As God's children, we are not victims and we're not slaves. We are very free with huge capacity to create good thoughts and good feelings, good responses, good relationships, and a good life. Yes?
Thank you. When it's not, you know, the cup's in the sink or the the person that's lied to you or something, but if it's just your own major feelings of loss, like loss of a career that you've been doing all your life. You know, I'm particularly talking about myself, being in theatre. Big, huge feelings of loss of maybe a relationship, loss of years that have gone by, just tremendous feelings of loss and the sadness that comes with that loss. So there's not one particular situation or person, it's just this kind of sadness that ends up actually being depression. Actually. Does one just do the same exercises for that as well?
Thank you for that. Very honest sharing. Now, my experience is that we're talking here about big things, not rising above little things, which is the topic, but big things. But how do they become big? If we're honest, it's because we've allowed the little things to accumulate. So, feeling overwhelmed becomes a habit, a pattern. Feeling out of control, feeling a victim, something that I'm sitting here and life is being done to me, versus it's my life and I'm the director of it. All of these feelings in which it just gets very hard to, as we were saying before, get out of bed in the morning. This is an accumulation of dealing with the little things from a very limited capacity. It's being stuck by the stream of the mind without the awareness of my separate identity. So I would say a very good place to start is something like this. Because what were we using our job for? What were we using our relationships for? I'll take away that word using. That might be too hard. What were we counting on from our jobs? What did we want to get from our job? What did we want to get from the relationship? We wanted to get love. We wanted to get a sense of purpose, a sense of meaning. We wanted to get good company, friendship, all of these things. Slowly, it can happen so slowly, gradually, we don't even realize. It is perfectly fine, it's called life, to enjoy a good job, to enjoy relationships, people, even things. But if we get out of practice, if we come into such a forgetfulness of this full self, very slowly what's going to start to happen is we're not going to just be enjoying those things, we're going to become dependent on them. That's a line we cross. I start depending on that job to give me my happiness, my sense of value, my meaning. We start depending on another person to make me feel good about myself, to smile at me, to approve of me so that I feel okay about myself. Enjoying is one thing, depending is dangerous. Because then when that person goes away or that situation changes, the job is lost, all sorts of other feelings come in. And I'm just feeding that devil inside, so to speak. So we go back to the basics, the simplest things. Who am I? And not just that, but especially for the big things. The big things. It is a big thing to lose our job, to have relationships, just to have loss after loss accumulate. We have to stop. We have to ask ourselves, what is life wanting to give me a chance to remember and practice and claim for myself again? So, as we begin to practice, remembering difference between me and my mind, me and my programmings and conditionings. So we begin to practice connecting with that other part of the self. Those feelings, the raw energy of calmness, of well-being, start feeding me. And I will start. I'll begin a different experience. That same situation will be there. That same person will be as they are. But I will feel less affected, less influenced. It's called claiming myself. And with that, in that space of the self, there's a natural and automatic connection with the Supreme, the source, the ocean of all these very divine energies. So it's not just then a very beautiful relationship that starts with my own self, but a very beautiful relationship with another being, God, the Supreme, who's just that energy, not even a body, just pure love, pure peace, pure joy. This begins to make me very, very strong inside and able to handle whatever's coming up. Rise above it and keep moving forward, because we don't just want to rise. We want to move forward, which is another way of saying take charge of my feelings, my emotions, and take charge of my life. You okay? You with me on this? Is it right? It's right. We don't like to be angry. We don't like to be bossy. We don't like to be depressed. We don't like to be careless and lazy and apathetic. We don't like it. Why? Because those are very low caliber energies, and we're not made from that. We're made from those very high divine energies. That's why we don't like this. We try to get rid of anger or depression because it doesn't fit. It doesn't suit us. So we know these truths, but somehow we have to help each other remember them. And this is where spiritual practice is so important, because there are going to be bigger and bigger things that we have to rise above. We're facing such unusual times, challenging times. Why? The universe is giving us all a chance to seriously start remembering very important things that we've forgotten for our life. Are there any questions from our Zoom audience, or Facebook or YouTube audience?
I think we are running out of time,
Okay.
so we'll have a short meditation.
Yes, this is very good. You all okay? Everyone's okay? So this is the right way to finish. Let's start again. Eyes closed or open, by imagining the mind as a stream. And now we're very experienced. We understand. This is an exercise to remember that I am not the mind. I'm not my thoughts. I am separate. Enjoy this truth for a few seconds. Let the thoughts be whatever they want to be. Doubt, judgments, confusion, doesn't matter. I am not my thoughts. See, I am standing by the side of the stream. I am the observer. I am separate. I am free. And with this realization, let me take 3 steps backwards, away from this stream. And when I'm ready, very slowly turn my back on this stream to discover the large, beautiful countryside all around. And let me take first steps away from this stream and into this large, rolling landscape of a countryside so clean and fresh, as if it's the first day of spring. And now I'm just walking in that countryside. Nature. Blue sky. Birds are singing. Gentle breeze. And I just settle myself on some grass, enjoying the quiet all around. Here, I really remember how good is this kind of quiet and peace. I'm just enjoying being in this part of me, away from the stream of my mind. I'm just enjoying. And I lay back on the grass and I just open myself to the gentle rays of sun coming to me from above. It's just me, a beautiful nature all around, and this lovely sun reaching me, touching me, as if to fill me with that same golden light of peace and calm. And I know what it feels like to be a flower underneath the rays of sun. Do you remember what it feels like to be flower-like under the rays of the spiritual sun? God's rays of light and love. And all I need to do is nothing. All I need to do is just be. But I have to remember who I really am. I have to remember my divine me. Filled with the gentle quiet of a day in nature, and the loving embrace of the spiritual sun above. And as I begin the return journey back to the consciousness of the physical world, my relationships and my responsibilities, I have this thought to get to know myself more and to experiment using these feelings in my relationships and responsibilities so that I can become a beacon of peace and light to all my brothers and sisters, the whole world. Om Shanti.
Shanti. Big thank you to Sister Sharona for sharing such, yes, you can have a round of applause for her, sharing such deep insights in a very simple way and giving us the tools so that we can rise above the little things that bother us. And she did mention about few beliefs and perceptions that we have. We need to change and walk away from it, rise above it or go beyond it. There is a little book in the shop called Being Beyond Beliefs, and it's by Mike George. So on your way out, you can browse the shop, look at the book, and see if it might help you to go deeper in the subject. So thank you, everyone. Thank you to the online viewers, and have a great evening. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. Best wishes, best wishes.